Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the shocking theory that little Scout Quartermain might be the one who pulled the trigger on her own father, Drew Kane, in this explosive whodunit saga. Scout's hidden motive emerges. Deep within the tangled web of Port Charles secrets, fans are buzzing with a chilling suspicion. Scout Quartermain, the innocent-looking daughter of Drew Kane, could harbor the deepest grudge against him. While the spotlight is unfairly shown on Willow Tate as the prime suspect, Scout's personal torment paints a far more heartbreaking picture of motive, access, and perfect timing. Imagine a child, still grieving, pushed to an unimaginable edge by a father's harsh decisions that severed her from everyone she holds dear. Drew's rigid control has turned Scout's world upside down, especially after losing her devoted mother, Sam McCall, who was the glue holding their family together. Without Sam, Drew stepped in as the sole guardian, but his parenting style has been nothing short of disastrous, alienating not just Scout, but the entire Quartermain and McCall clans. He slapped restraining orders on key family members, blocking Scout from joyful visits with her loving grandmother Alexis Davis, her playful aunts, and most heartbreakingly, her cherished brothers who once filled her days with laughter and warmth. The restraining order nightmare. These legal barriers weren't just paperwork. They created a prison of isolation for young Scout, who craves the hugs and stories only family can provide. Drew's ultimatum added insult to injury. Alexis could represent Willow in court, and only then might he ease the restrictions, but even that deal cruelly excluded Danny Morgan, Scout's absolute favorite sibling whose bond with her is unbreakable. Picture Scout's tear-streaked face as she whispers goodnight alone, forbidden from Danny's bedtime tales or backyard adventures, her small heart aching from the void Drew enforced. Before the fateful shooting, Scout's life was a solitary echo chamber with only Drew's stern presence, amplifying her resentment into something explosive. The girl's numerous grievances stack up like storm clouds. The loneliness, the unexplained anger from Drew toward those who love her, and the constant reminder of Sam's absence that Drew seems to exploit. Fans speculate this bottled-up fury could have erupted in a moment of raw, childlike desperation, where Scout, overwhelmed by trauma, grabbed a weapon without grasping its deadly finality. The telling phone ring clue. Flashback to that tense night when Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor pieced together the chaos surrounding Drew's shooting. Their conversation unearthed a bombshell detail that screamed Scout's involvement. Amid the shadows, Drew's phone pierced the silence with the soft, nostalgic melody of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, the exact ringtone he reserved exclusively for his daughter's calls. This wasn't random. It was a poignant signal that Scout was there, her innocent tune turning sinister in hindsight. What if Scout, driven mad by Drew's iron-fisted isolation, reached her breaking point and confronted him that very evening? The ring could have been her own device buzzing in panic, jolting her into flight mode as fear overtook her impulsive act. Adding fuel to this theory, the murder weapon hailed from the late Edward Quartermain's exclusive gun collection, stashed in the family mansion where Scout roams freely, her tiny fingers able to sneak it away unnoticed during one of Drew's distracted moments. Echoes from Days of Our Lives. This plot twist wouldn't be GH's first nod to bold storytelling. It's eerily mirroring a recent shocker from sister soap Days of Our Lives, where the ruthless E.J. DiMera fell victim to a gunshot, sparking a citywide mystery. Viewers gasped as the truth unraveled. E.J.'s own young niece, fueled by family betrayals, delivered the shot in a jaw-dropping reveal that redefined innocence in Salem. That twist kept audiences glued, debating every clue, and GH seems poised to one-up it by centering Scout in their Who Shot Drew Kane frenzy. General Hospital writers love these high-stakes surprises, and framing Scout as the shooter would flip the script on all the Willow-bashing speculation. Willow might be the classic distraction, much like Johnny DiMera played the fall guy in Duel Saga, luring us away from the real pint-sized perpetrator hiding in plain sight. Scout's lost blended family bliss. Peel back the layers, and Scout's happier past reveals why she'd fantasize about life without Drew's tyranny. Back when Sam was alive, Scout thrived in a vibrant blended family haven. Dante Falcone's protective warmth, Danny Morgan's brotherly antics, and even heart-brother Rocco Falconeri joining the fun with games and group hugs that lit up her world. Those days overflowed with cozy dinners, park outings, and Sam's nurturing magic that made every challenge feel conquerable. Contrast that golden era with Drew's reign of misery-strict rules, no playdates, and a home echoing with arguments that scare any child. Scout deserves a guardian who builds bridges, not walls, someone who prioritizes her emotional healing over personal vendettas. If she did snap and shoot Drew, it's a tragic symptom of his failures. Removing him might finally free her to reclaim that joyful family circle, starting with daily adventures alongside Danny. Why Drew protects the real culprit. Drew's cagey behavior post-shooting hints he knows more than he's letting on. Why shield Willow by eyeing Michael Corinthos as the frame-up artist unless he's covering for someone untouchable, like his own flesh and blood. His piss-poor decisions have antagonized Port Charles power players, from family feuds to courtroom deals, but Scout bears the brunt as collateral damage. Her isolation isn't just neglect, it's emotional warfare that could drive even the sweetest kid to extremes. Inventing deeper layers, imagine Scout confiding in a teddy bear about her pains or sketching sad family portraits that foreshadow her despair. Subtle hints GH could drop in upcoming episodes. Drew's restraining orders might stem from his own paranoia after Sam's death, mistakenly viewing the family as threats, but they've backfired spectacularly, forging Scout's motive in fire. In this riveting chapter, Scout emerges not as villain, but victim of circumstance, her potential guilt a heartbreaking commentary on fractured parenting in Soapland. Next, we will learn about the electrifying tension brewing between Jason Morgan and Britt Westburn that could explode into a forbidden kiss amid deadly secrets. In the shadowy world of Port Charles, whispers of romance swirl around Jason Morgan, the stoic enforcer who's always one step ahead of danger, and Britt Westburn, the brilliant doctor haunted by her own demons. Recent spoilers tease a heart-pounding moment where Jason, with his piercing gaze and unyielding resolve, might lean in for a kiss that shatters Britt's ironclad walls. This isn't just any fleeting spark. It's a pivotal crossroads for two souls battered by betrayal and loss, where trust hangs by a thread thinner than spider silk. Picture Jason, fresh from supporting Britt through the chaos at Five Poppies Resort, gently coaxing her to lower her shields, only for her lingering doubts to ignite a firestorm of emotions. Britt's hesitation isn't mere pride, it's a fortress built from years of heartbreak, fearing Jason's world of mob wars and moral gray areas will always eclipse her place in his heart. Yet beneath this guarded exterior pulses a deeper turmoil, one woven into the dark tapestry of her past ties to the villainous Caesar Phazon, whose final machinations continue to ensnare her like venomous vines. Britt's nightmare truly unfolded in the mist-shrouded hills of Croatia, where she stirred from a drugged haze to face an ultimatum: perpetuate her father's sinister legacy or forfeit the precious medication staving off her Huntington's disease. This clandestine operation, orchestrated by the slippery Jen Sidwell and his phantom partner lurking in the shadows, has drained Britt's spirit, turning the once fierce Britt into a woman teetering on the edge of despair. The brutal murder of Professor Henry Hank Dalton sent shockwaves through her, exposing the ruthless stakes, while Pascal's chilling threats loomed like storm clouds, forcing viewers to witness Britt's raw vulnerability. Fast forward to the gripping November 21st episode, where Jason's relentless probing cracks her facade. Danny Morgan's innocent claim about the stolen key fob being Britt's becomes the spark that lights the powder keg. As tears carve rivers down her cheeks, Britt's sobs echo her ultimate plea: is Jason worth gambling my life on? This raw confession hits Jason like a freight train, unveiling that her secrets aren't just personal, they're a ticking bomb tied to lethal lab experiments and shadowy dealings that could claim her necks. Jason's probing into Britt's lab connections and her entanglement with Dalton's murky research only multiplies the enigmas piling up in his sharp mind. What starts as concern for a friend spirals into a quest for truth, with Jason refusing to back down despite Britt's evasive dodges and terror-streaked denials. He presses harder, his voice a mix of gravelly determination and unexpected tenderness, demanding every fragment of the puzzle, from the key fob's mysterious origins to the lab's forbidden projects that smell of corporate espionage and bioweapon whispers. Britt's breakdown reveals the peril. Spilling too much could paint a target on her back, mirroring Dalton's grisly fate. Yet Jason's eyes lock onto hers with a solemn vow. "I'll protect you," he murmurs, his words a lifeline in the storm, awakening in Britt the flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, this unbreakable man can shield her from the encroaching darkness if she dares to let him in. This exchange isn't mere dialogue. It's the emotional bedrock for a romance reignited, where Jason's promise carries the weight of his entire code of loyalty, hinting at sacrifices he might make to pull her from the abyss. Envision the scene unfolding in a dimly lit room, heavy with unspoken fears. Jason draws Britt close, his strong arms enveloping her trembling form in an embrace that conveys more than words ever could. Their lips meet in a kiss charged with desperation and desire, a silent oath amid the chaos, a moment where time freezes, Port Charles' turmoil fading into irrelevance. Britt's guarded heart, long armored against vulnerability, begins to thaw. Her instincts scream to trust Jason with fragments of the truth, even if the full nightmare of Faison's schemes and Sidwell's threats remains buried for now. This partial revelation arms Jason with enough intel to map out a counterstrike, potentially dismantling the Croatia conspiracy brick by sinister brick. Fans are buzzing over how this intimacy could propel their bond into uncharted territory, whispers of shared nights tangled in sheets, where passion eclipses peril, and Britt finally claims a slice of Jason's undivided world. Yet danger lurks. Pascal's network watches closely, and one wrong move could drag Jason into a vendetta deadlier than any he's faced, testing whether their spark can survive the inferno. As General Hospital weaves this tapestry of suspense and seduction, Jason and Britt's arc promises to captivate, blending high-stakes intrigue with the raw pull of forbidden love. Will Britt fully unburden her soul, or will fear claim victory, dooming their chance at redemption? Next, we will learn about the issue that has been sending shockwaves through the darkest corners of Port Charles and making even the most seasoned residents question everything they thought they knew about power, influence, and the true nature of evil in our beloved city. The whispers have grown louder, the theories more intricate, and the evidence more compelling as we dive deep into the emerging revelation that Pascal, the enigmatic figure who moves through Windermere like a ghost wrapped in tailored suits, could actually be the one that even the formidable Gen Sidwell fears in his most private moments of contemplation. While Sidwell has masterfully cultivated his reputation as the preeminent predator in our community, strutting through the mansion halls with the confidence of a man who believes himself untouchable, Pascal represents something far more terrifying: the sinister silence that precedes the most devastating storms, the quiet before the calamity that leaves nothing but destruction in its wake. The murder of Professor Henry Dalton was executed with such clinical precision that it transcended mere criminality and entered the realm of performance art designed to communicate a message without leaving any room for misinterpretation. Unlike the clumsy machinations of typical Port Charles villains who rely on elaborate schemes and theatrical flourishes to mask their insecurities, Dalton's execution was a masterclass in efficient brutality that left even the most jaded observers struggling to maintain their composure. The professor had been spiraling through the halls of Windermere, his voice echoing off the stone walls as he expressed paranoia that seemed almost prescient in hindsight, his words tumbling over one another in a desperate attempt to warn anyone who would listen about the dangers lurking in the shadows. Then, in a moment that crystallized the severity of the situation, the sharp report of gunfire reverberated through the ancient corridors, and the esteemed academic crumpled to the ground with a bullet positioned with surgical accuracy through his heart, his life extinguished before his final warning could fully materialize. While Britt Westburn fought valiantly to maintain her composure amidst the chaos, her medical training warring with her human instinct to flee, It wasn't the brutality of the murder itself that fundamentally altered her perception of the power dynamics at play. The true paradigm shift occurred moments later when Pascal materialized in the doorway. His presence so casually malevolent that it suggested he was a man simply collecting his dry cleaning rather than surveying the aftermath of a sanctioned execution. His arrival sealing the deal on Britt's understanding that she had entered a world where conventional rules no longer applied. The moment Pascal arrived, he accomplished what no amount of Sidwell's posturing could achieve. He effortlessly seized complete control of the situation, transforming Sidwell's carefully constructed bravado into mere background noise that faded into insignificance. Sidwell may boast with the volume and frequency of a man convinced that loudness equals power, but Pascal's calm, precise warnings carry more psychological weight than any shout or scream could possibly convey, cutting through the air like a scalpel through tissue. Britt, with her characteristic sharp intellect and years of experience navigating dangerous situations, quickly realized that Sidwell's amateurish attempts at sending a message paled in comparison to Pascal's enforcement of the unwritten rules that govern the true underworld of Port Charles. Pascal's threats felt less like personal vendettas and more like institutional pronouncements, as if he were representing someone or something far beyond even Sidwell's considerable authority, a force that operated on a level that most residents couldn't even comprehend existed within their city limits. General Hospital might be subtly hinting at a seismic shift in the criminal hierarchy, with Pascal quietly positioned several levels above what anyone suspects, making Britt's fundamental error not merely underestimating Pascal, but fundamentally misunderstanding the entire architecture of power she has found herself entangled within. Sidwell loves playing the part of the evil leader with such enthusiasm that it would be almost comical if the consequences weren't so deadly serious. Stomping through the mansion with deliberate heavy footfalls that seemed designed to echo intimidation off every surface, throwing out threats as if they were his native language learned at his mother's knee. He presents himself as the man everyone should dread, the boogeyman that keeps the other criminals awake at night. Yet whenever Pascal enters the scene, something within Sidwell's demeanor undergoes a transformation so subtle that only the most observant witnesses would notice the slight quickening of his speech pattern and the almost imperceptible softening of his bluster. He resembles a man striving desperately to maintain the illusion of control in front of someone who doesn't need to lift a finger or raise his voice to indicate who truly holds the power in any given situation, the genuine authority figure who commands respect through presence alone rather than volume. Because Pascal never puts on airs or engages in the theatrical displays that characterize so many of Port Charles's self-styled villains. He doesn't shout elaborate threats or attempt to sweeten his directives with false charm or harden them with obvious intimidation. He simply delivers his messages with the quiet certainty of a man who knows they will be obeyed without question, and they resonate with the recipients long after the words have been spoken, lingering in the mind like a haunting melody that cannot be forgotten. When Pascal accompanied Britt home after the Dalton incident, the entire interaction felt distinctly different from anything she had experienced with Sidwell's organization, carrying undertones that suggested this was no ordinary escort mission, but rather something more ceremonial and significant. Sidwell sends out messages through violence and intimidation. Pascal enforces the rules with the methodical precision of a man who understands that true power lies in consistency rather than spectacle. Those are two completely different currencies in Port Charles, and only one is actually backed by the gold standard of genuine authority that can make or break lives with a simple nod or shake of the head. Pascal's warning to Britt that she's being constantly observed, that she won't receive a third opportunity to deviate from the expected path, lacked Sidwell's characteristic bravado and personal venom. It felt larger than a simple threat, more expansive and institutional, as if he were merely echoing directives from someone positioned much further up the hierarchy, someone whose name is spoken only in whispers behind locked doors. This was the kind of threat you don't contest or debate, the kind that has already been executed numerous times before with flawless precision. leaving no evidence and no witnesses who are willing to speak. Sidwell's response to having Pascal close by seemed a curious blend of professional respect and a subtle but undeniable trace of fear, the kind that seeps out through forced smiles and overly casual body language when you're standing next to someone who doesn't require a drawn weapon to command absolute authority over every cubic inch of space they occupy. General Hospital has utilized this brilliant narrative tactic previously in its storied history. The boisterous, visible antagonist is seldom the genuine threat that keeps the heroes and even the other villains awake at night. The pattern is clear when we examine the archives of Port Charles criminality, from the Casadini dynasty's public face versus their shadowy operations to the Corinthos organization's visible leadership versus their enforcers who operate in the margins of society. Britt's focus on Sidwell as the primary threat, while understandable given that she witnessed him eliminate Dalton with her own eyes, could very well represent a fatally misguided survival instinct that will lead her down a dangerous path of false security. The individual she ought to be genuinely wary of, the one who should dominate her nightmares and inform her every decision, is the one who never elevates his tone or resorts to dramatic displays of power. He is the one that Sidwell himself appears to dread when he believes no one is watching, the quiet storm that devastates without warning, the phantom that even other monsters fear when the lights go out and they're left alone with their thoughts and their sins. Pascal isn't merely a henchman or a right-hand man. He is the embodiment of a system that values results over recognition, efficiency over ego, and absolute loyalty over public acclaim. As Britt continues to navigate these treacherous waters, she would do well to remember that in the deadliest game of all, the most lethal player is often the one you never see coming until it's far too late to change the outcome.